So Thanksgiving is here. And the first thing I'd like to do is thank our listeners.
That's so sweet.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you,
seriously,
listeners.
I want to thank all our listeners, all our Facebook fans, all our Twitter followers, all the people that come to the Gunshow Podcast and read our stuff and click on the links.
And our Instagram followers.
And our Instagram listeners. Yeah. So thank you. And I tell you what, thank you for spreading the word on the Gunshow Podcast. We're growing more and more each episode. Are they episodes? They are now.
Yep.
Each episode.
Webisode or something?
Each cast that we pod.
Yeah.
That's what you do with it.
Yeah, you cast that. And then our listeners go and cast it out into the world and share it with their friends.
Yes. And keep doing that. And thank you.
Please, yes. We do appreciate that very much. So I think we got a pretty good show for you today. So let's just go ahead and get the one out of the way that we all know that we need to talk about real quick. And let's talk about what happened in Paris.
Yeah, we did. In case you've been living under a rock,
deep
under a rock. Not even like the commercial with the caveman rock, but like deep under a rock. Some terrorists went and shot up a theater and a bar and a soccer stadium and blew themselves up and did all sorts of terrible things in Paris. And we would like to, first of all, pause and give like a nice moment of silence for all the victims, their families. And I tell you what, for all the police officers and the government agents and those types that are now in danger hunting down the perpetrators and the supporters of these types. So thanks for that, and I'd like to talk about Paris a little bit because although it was a terrible thing, and we could point fingers and blame things and religions and peoples and groups or whatever, but I'd like to talk about lessons that we can learn here at home that are firearms related, mainly because it's a firearms related podcast. I'd like to talk about one thing I'd like to talk about is homemade explosives. The terrorists in Paris reportedly used something called TATP, which is like acetone peroxide or something, some homemade, very volatile explosive.
Yeah, it's extremely unstable, right?
Unstable, volatile.
I mean, like unstable to the point where if you go to chest bump your buddy,
it blows up if you're both wearing.
Like you're getting all pumped up to do this, and you're like, "Hey, let's chest bump before we do this."
I never thought of that. That's a very good point. Do chest bumps with this stuff.
I wonder if they put like safety manuals out that actually say that.
Yeah, well, probably not.
No.
But I want to talk about homemade explosives, homemade vests.
And we're not going to go into great detail. We're just going to talk generally over this.
General ideas. Like if you found yourself in this situation, we've all trained as defensive shooters and gun owners, and I don't know about you, but we've all trained to aim for center mass, right?
Right.
In these cases, if you hit this volatile homemade explosive, and I never thought of this before now, it goes bang. And, maybe takes you out, depending how close you are, right? Maybe takes out the people you're trying to protect. That would mean you would need to concentrate on headshots. And we talk about on this podcast how difficult headshots are to make. But if somebody's wearing a vest with explosives on it, or what you think may be wearing a vest with explosives on it, or a belt or whatever, then you need to shoot them in the head.
Well, this is going to be practice that you would see in general if you saw somebody coming at you that had a vest on.
Right.
Because you don't know if it's a bulletproof vest. You have no idea what it is, and you're not going to be able to stop them maybe fast enough if it is a bulletproof vest. So you're going to be aiming for either a headshot or extremity like the leg or something to maybe slow the person down and then, continue what you're doing. Yeah. Because to me, I have two legs and a head is usually the width or at least as wide as one leg. So you have a little bit more of an area to try to shoot someone. So I wonder, I've never been in this situation, and I pray that I never am in this kind of a situation, but I think I personally may gravitate towards the under the vest, at least for the first initial volley, before trying to move up and.
That's very interesting. And I don't think you should go to the range and practice only headshots or only pelvic shots or only ankle shots or any of that sort of thing. I am just saying that the key to success when you hit a scenario that you've never trained for or you haven't trained for enough is being able to visualize that scenario and work your way through it, right?
Right.
So I just wanted to throw this out there. We saw it actually happened here in Paris. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that scenario, get everybody thinking, get the thought process started.
and get on Facebook, facebook.com/Gunshow Podcast, and tell us what you think. Just send us a message.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have your name brought up, but you want to talk to us, you can always send us a message.
Yeah, you can always send us a PM or an email. Or any of the ways you could tweet us. Can't you tweet something?
And if we bring it up and you don't want us to say your last name or anything like that, we will just say one of our listeners. We've done it many times in the past. And
yeah, we don't mind doing that.
Yeah, of course not.
Anonymity is your friend.
Especially when we have something that is really interesting and propels the topic to the next level too.
Yeah.
Which we do get quite often from a lot of listeners. So keep on sending those messages in and that feedback. So yeah, and I think that being adaptable to any kind of situation that you're in is going to be one of the most important things to survival. Because you're always hearing things like, oh, you need to aim for the chest, you need to aim for the head. But you know what? You don't always have a headshot. You don't always have a chest. What if you are, another scenario, what if you are at a bar and most bars at the windows have these chest high bars, bars, or whatever. They have a chest high, and it usually has a panel that drops down a foot or two. Well, if you're trying to get kind of under that, but you can only see that this is the person, you can see the firearm, but you only really have a good shot on the legs. What do? That's a situation where you need to be thinking about the possibilities. What is going to happen here? I realize that engaging this target, I need to follow through with every bit of this situation. I can't stop. I can't shoot him once or twice and then just go, okay, it's done, and run away.
Oh, that's another part of the thing that you've got to remember. We always train, 2 shots or 3 shots or whatever. And we've talked about on this podcast how terrible a man stopper, for lack of a better term, a handgun round is.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to practice in putting enough shots to stop the threat.
Well, not to mention when you're in those kind of situations and you interview someone or you talk to them, you often find out that they don't even know if they fired their gun or how many times they fired their gun.
Oh, yeah.
So what used to be really popular about 12 years ago, I don't know if it came from a movie or something, was counting your rounds. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Yeah, when I was at a range one time, there was a guy telling another guy, he's like, and what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are counting your rounds. That way you know when you need to drop your magazine and put another one in. And I'm like, I was really young in the shooting sports and industry.
It makes sense from a
revolver standpoint.
Practical, pragmatic, if you could count your rounds, you would know when to reload, and that would be better, yes.
Right.
The problem is, I think you should be concentrating on surviving this gunfight you're in.
Yeah, that's kind of the...
probably all of your concentration needs to be put that way, making weird shots, not getting shot. Don't stick your ankle out. We've taken VCQB courses.
Vehicle...
VCQB courses.
You're really throwing me off. Vehicle Close Quarter Combat.
Right. So we've taken
those... Sorry, I had to follow through. I mean, that's what it is. You're going to throw the B at the end of it, then it's battle.
So one thing we learned is you can duck under a car and shoot somebody in the ankles if that's all the target you're given, like we were talking about. So you don't want your ankles to be sticking out from under the car. You want to be behind the cover. So, yeah, you no time to count shots.
No, I don't think that there's any time.
Speaking of counting shots, a listener brought up a very good point about the shootings in the theater.
Aurora, Colorado?
In Paris.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes.
At the concert venue, I guess is a better term for it. I guess it's a theater. But they said, you have 4 or plus shooters with rifles, shooting up a place and taking hostages. What can you do about that if all you carry is, say, your 1911 no reload, or your little pocket pistol with no reload, or a J-frame in an ankle holster? At that point, you're kind of relegated to making sure you survive, and whoever's near you can maybe survives, and getting them out. And that's all you can really do. You can't really fight them off and win the day. And
I'm sorry, as much as we want to daydream and think that we're going to shoot that person, go get his rifle, and then take care of business. There's no guarantee. What if? And here's where I always kind of go with this: is people say, well, I'll take their rifle or I'll take their gun. What if they have a sling on their rifle, and you're trying to get this rifle off of this person while you have three other active shooters
maneuvering on you?
Yeah,
one would assume
you're not going to James Bond it. You know?
And what if he's got a terrible sling? He doesn't have a nice Magpul sling
no
with
quick
a QD.
release.
Yeah, what if
you're
he's got a bad sling? Yeah.
You're trying to rip it off of him. You're trying to work with it, and not to mention, I don't know if anyone has ever done this, but pulling around one of those dummies, dead weight.
Oh yeah.
Dead weight is very hard to manipulate.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, listen.
Even having a knife. I mean, what if oddly enough he used a freaking power cord? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? It's made of metal. You can't cut through it. You're like, I have no idea.
Things happen, right? Things will go crazy. You can't count on such things. What you can count on is how you prepare yourself. And we talked about this mental visualization, and I want to talk about carrying your Glock 19 with your reload with you instead of your normal little pocket pistol. Maybe if you go into that kind of situation,
But here's the thing: is you don't know what kind of situation you're going to go into, and your mindset needs to be, I'm going to carry this way every single time, or I'm not. Because you don't want to find yourself caught in a situation where you are actively engaging a shooter, and then you go, my mags.
But
they're not
there. Pragmatically, I agree with you philosophically, 100%. You never know when it's going to happen. You don't know, if you knew when there would be a fire, you never need to carry a fire extinguisher because you just wouldn't go to that place where it caught fire. Right?
I would always carry a fire extinguisher because I would know where the fire was, and I would put it out.
To it and put it out.
Yeah.
I never thought. That's a very good point.
Logic. So anyway, okay, what were you saying now?
But if you knew there was going to be a gunfight breakout to where you were going, you wouldn't carry more guns. You just wouldn't go, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would call the cops or something.
Call the cops. Hey, there's going to be a gunfight.
Yeah, just as an FYI.
Yeah, but there are situations that you can that are low risk and high risk. Does that make sense? There are situations where because let's face it, concealed carrying a pistol, a handgun, even a Glock with an RMR and a light and a threaded barrel and spare magazines, whatever.
It's risk reward.
It's still
everything is. Everything is risk reward, even a gunfight.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. If you could run away and survive the day, would that be better off? Well, to some people, yes. To some people, no. They couldn't live that way.
So what's my risk? I run away and more people die.
Exactly.
Like, what is your reward? And by reward, I can mean even a negative thing. Your reward could be more people getting hurt or your family getting hurt or something like that. You never know.
You could really screw up and shoot somebody on accident who you didn't want to. There are all sorts of scenarios that could take place, and you have to weigh all those things when you make a decision. And God forbid you ever have to make this kind of decision. Or just
and I know we say this, but hopefully for any new listeners out there, no one that I know actually wants to get into a firefight. There's not a single person that I know that is just like, they might say, oh man, you know what? They're not actually really, truly excited to get into any kind of a firefight.
No. Let's face it. Even though, the warrior may have the innate want to be tested, you know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah.
Not at the expense of someone dying or worse. There are things worse than death.
I think we talked about it before, but once you pull that trigger, it doesn't end. The battle doesn't end. The emotional stress and the toll that it takes on you. It's there's a lot of victims when someone decides to defend themselves. they, then not only are they a victim, but they have made themselves, possibly a lifelong victim of this, depending on how they deal with it.
And it doesn't matter if you're morally right or legally right. There's still
what happened.
Yeah, there's still aspects of it that are negative. It doesn't matter.
I mean, you can sit there and analyze it to death and sit there and go, man, if I had just done this or I had just done that, then that person might have lived. Or
if I hadn't gone there, I wouldn't have had to shoot that person. Yeah. So there's all those types of things involved with our daily lives. Let's face it.
Again, and that all goes to being adaptable and being prepared for whatever situation you might fall into.
So I hope the lesson that we can take away from the Paris shootings is, think about it. Be mindful of it. Be prepared for it. Maybe just mentally. Maybe you start carrying a reload in your pocket. Maybe you start, carrying a gun with higher capacity. Maybe you just think about how you would deploy your little mouse gun back.
Well, I will stick by it, and I don't think that I'm going to change. But if you are going to carry a reload or consider training with a reload, you should probably always keep that. I mean, unless you're in a situation where you really can't. You don't have an inside the waistband tuckable magazine holster, and you're going to some kind of event where you got to tuck your shirt in.
Speaking of those things, tuckable waistband and tucking your shirt in, since this Paris thing, and I'm not just spewing this stuff for the sake of the podcast, this is the stuff I really think about. I started, instead of just carrying my little pocket pistol around, I started carrying my Glock 19 with my RMR. And one of the things I like to wear on a daily basis is, some nice tactical slacks with my belt and a shirt tucked in.
Every day.
A button-up shirt tucked in. And, not every day, but most of the days.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot.
Yeah.
Time. Pretty much.
Yeah.
One thing I discovered was that a holster we all know and love already, the Raven Concealment Vanguard 2.
Yes.
It works great for that.
Yeah,
it's insane. If you've got... Now, I will caveat all of this in that I've lost 30 pounds in the last 6 months or so.
You carry way differently than you used to a year ago.
Yeah. Well, my clothes fit me differently. They're the same clothes. I haven't upgraded my collection of clothing yet. So
your buttons on your buttons up are very happy.
Yes. Look, they're not even screwed.
I know. That's what I mean. Before, I used to know what undershirt you were wearing. You're like, oh man, that's a red undershirt or that. Why is he wearing a red undershirt under that?
Wow, I don't think it was that bad, right? Anywho, one of the things that I've been able to notice... Do you really want
to hash that out here?
I can tuck in my shirt over my Glock 19, and this isn't a little pistol. It's a Glock 19, right? With an RMR on it.
Right.
I can tuck that in with this the Raven Concealment Vanguard 2, which is a great holster, and it's inexpensive, and I'd like to... And I've been appendix carrying lately, but like I said, I have the one size larger pants than I really need, and my shirts aren't super skin tight anymore around the belly area.
Well, what's really funny about that is, I don't know if you remember this conversation we had 2.5 years ago, if not longer. I just remember this because it's stuck in my mind. I was telling you how I have a hard time because I'm a thinner build than you.
Oh yeah.
Much more muscular but thinner.
That's what
you.
I'd say if I were you.
So, I was always telling you how, based on the clothing that would fit my body type, it was always hard for me to cover.
Sure.
Or to conceal carry. And I remember you hit your stomach and you were like, I've got built-in diffuser right here. And you hit your stomach. And it made me think, now that you have lost all that weight, you had to kind of adapt on what you were doing.
Well,
you're not tucking it into your body so much as...
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean, is you've had to change.
I don't have the built-in overhang.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You're not muffin topping it with your gun. You know what I mean? I don't want to be rude.
No,
but
I just can't hurt my feelings.
Listen, if it's a duck, it's a duck.
And that's one thing. Every body type is different. Like Everybody carries in a different spot. That's why there's so many different holsters out there, and that's why everybody's got the drawer full of holsters that didn't work for them because they work for their buddy or they work for the guy who wrote the article on the internet or whatever. But one thing about the holster that we're talking about now, that you can use it in different positions. You have to carry it inside the waistband.
Oh, the Vanguard? Yeah, you absolutely can. I'm not an appendix carrier at all.
Yeah. But it works for the 4 o'clock carry, I guess you want to call it that. It works for that.
Well, the 7 o'clock because I'm left-handed, but yes, it absolutely does.
I don't understand.
7, 8 o'clock.
I don't.
Not quite 9 yet.
Can't fathom that at all.
Yeah.
Weird
left-handed but it does work. It does work really, really well for that. But, more often than not, anyone that I know that has a Vanguard, they do appendix carry.
Yeah.
Which I do have a question about that, though.
Yeah? What's your question?
About 15 years ago, I had my appendix taken out.
Oh, here's the thing, though. You're left-handed. It wouldn't be appendix carry anyways. Even if you did have an appendix.
See?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like lower colon carry.
I submit that we call this front carry.
Front
strong
carry,
side.
strong side.
Yeah.
Okay,
Front
I'm
carry,
in.
strong side.
Front FCSS? FCSS?
You heard it here first, folks.
A Gunshow Podcast first. Here from the Gunshow Podcast. FCSS.
Just rewritten the industry books.
Somebody needs to put that on the Urban Dictionary. Yeah. When did it come out? No.
I don't know where to go with that. It was just that carried it. So, all right. Well, we do have a lot of companies that I was really surprised about this because I think the last show either we talked about it or we didn't quite get to it, but with SHOT Show coming up in less than 2 calendar months, a lot of companies have really started pulling back and not giving out any information, except for one that is coming out and announcing everything now, and that's Magpul.
Yeah, Magpul, on one hand, they're shipping items they announced a long time ago, last year. So we're seeing the Glock magazines. We saw some of them. Now the 19s are shipping. There's
a much bigger magazine that's shipping too.
Right. The sand stuff is starting to, the sand magazines and 308 sand magazines. Is that what you're talking about? The big ones? The 308 ones?
No, I'm talking about ones.
Oh, you're talking about the
snail. The ammo capacity.
The snail mag.
Yeah, the snail
talking
mag.
about drum mag.
Yep.
Yeah, the Magpul D60, I believe it's called.
It is the D60, yep.
PMag D60, something to that effect. Anyways, Magpul claims they're shipping. We're keeping our eye out for them.
Our notes say they are shipping, so I would assume that they are.
They're supposed to be a fantastic price for a working drum mag. There are drum mags out there that enjoy a good reputation that are very expensive. There are drum mags out there that enjoy a terrible reputation that are very expensive. And there are some less expensive magazines that enjoy a terrible reputation. So hopefully this is the sweet spot. Hey, it's from Magpul, right? They just make good stuff, man.
I did just buy some of their Glock mags.
You did get some? Yeah, well, I've got some. I need to put some more rounds through.
I only have the 19, but I did buy the 17 mags. I know the 19s are shipping and they're out.
Yes,
but I did opt for the extra 2 rounds.
I need to get my hands on some of the sand stuff. They have sand furniture now, and they are definitely shipping the sand P mags. And I need to get my hands on some.
Yeah,
of those.
I've actually seen a few of those.
They're supposed to be stronger.
Sand
stuff's supposed to be stronger, and I'm curious to find out. Because all the P mags I've broken, I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my weak quote unquote P mags haven't broken yet, so I don't know. I got nothing. I'm
almost wondering if you could take that and suspend it between 2 pillars and then hang weights off of it until it does just fully snap.
I think there was a guy that broke P mags. Now this is back when they first came out,
right?
And I want to say he was doing drop tests with fully loaded P mags, 8 foot up in the air, down a tube into the concrete. I think it's something to that effect. It was something ridiculous. He was really torturing PMags. And for some reason, Shotgun News pops into my head. Maybe it was an article for Shotgun News where he's drop testing these things. And he broke them. Mm-hmm. And, more power to him. I don't know another way to break a PMag than just throw it on the ground as hard as you can.
Well, let me tell you this.
Fully loaded.
That is a PMag. And so Surefire's aluminum mags and everything are a different story. I personally do drop test all of my magazines just to see if they're going to pop like a confetti.
Oh, you load them all up and then just drop them?
Yeah, I just drop it.
Why not? Yeah.
Again, you know what? That almost goes back again to being adaptable and being prepared, because what happens if you fumble a reload? But it's not a guarantee that it's not going to mess up because it hits something just perfectly.
Right. No. I want our listeners to understand magazines are a perishable commodity. You can use them up. Even PMags. I've seen worn out PMag. Stuff happens,
it
right?
It does, absolutely does.
And let's face it, if you're paying $12 for a PMag, or if you're going, and buying one of these great deals on USGI type magazines that we help advertise on our blog, either way, they can fail, and we're only talking a few dollars. I mean, we're talking, I think somebody's got the Thanksgiving Day sale on D&H mags for $7, and P mags I saw them for $10 somewhere else, and for that much money, and you're talking a rifle, and especially if you're taking a class where you don't want to be that guy and there's money involved, you've paid for this class, especially an expensive class, or if your life depends on it for sure. Get rid of that magazine, or put training use only on.
I was going to tell you, I do have a few magazines that are manufacturer brand magazines, and they say specifically on them range use only.
Yeah,
all over it, the front side and the left and the right side.
I'll be honest with you, I throw them in the trash. I've got so many AR-15 magazines.
Well, mine's a handgun. They're a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
I
would have training mags if I was like
because they function, they just don't drop.
You got to pull them out.
They might kind of get stuck or something. I've never had really.
Yeah, I had the same issue with AR-15 mags. Like you said, once I get rid of them, no issues. Still got a ton of them. Like I said, right now I could buy 10 mags for $70.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's nothing when it comes to
and
magazines.
You think about how many rounds you would have to use to wear out a magazine body.
Oh yeah,
and what you'd have to do to that, especially like a Magpul, you would probably wear out the spring before the body goes out.
I bet you'd break your bolt on your gun before you wear out the PMag.
Something. But anything's possible. You drop it out of your.
Can break.
As soon as you drop it out of a truck going 70 miles an hour while you're shooting at hogs, I guess anything could be.
And then you run over it when you back up to go get it. Yep, that'll happen.
I always do. That's what I saw in the commercials for it.
You're supposed to do that, right?
Like before I pick this up, I have to run over it.
Now, if you do run over it, though, if you do run over your Magpul PMag. Evidently, you should go pick it up with a brand new pair of Magpul gloves.
That's right.
Because Magpul, recently they announced one pair of gloves, and I saw them. They were the flight gloves, and I shared it with you guys on Facebook. So if you're ever interested in what's new out there, go to facebook.com/Gunshow Podcast. Click the follow,
the like, and the follow button.
Share, if there's one of those.
Just do all of it.
Yeah, just do all that. So and you'll see cool videos like this.
And Scott's going to keep you updated, and with SHOT Show coming up, he's going to keep you updated as well.
There's going to be so much coverage.
So, but yeah, we've got
all the coverage.
So Magpul and their gloves,
and I'll show you their gloves. I'll put my hands in them.
Yeah, if the glove doesn't fit, you must quit.
No, you won't see it because if my hand won't go.
No,
I
want a picture of that.
Oh, you want a picture of the glove not fitting?
If they brought a small and your hands are extra small, then they may not fit. Let's be honest here.
So anyways, Magpul introduced this glove, and I'm like, Magpul's making flight gloves. And I've always been a sucker for flight gloves because I'm in the military.
You were actually so excited. You not only did you post it on Facebook, but before you did that, you texted me, ooh, flight gloves.
Flight gloves. Of course I did. Well, then, after I posted the video to Facebook, Magpul came out with another pair of gloves. And another pair of gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And another pair of gloves.
Yeah, I don't know of all of them, but the ones I have listed here, they have breaching gloves, they have patrol gloves, they have technical gloves, and they have ranch gloves.
And they have fire-resistant versions of like two of those. So there's like,
and I would assume that patrol is probably, if they don't have it now, I would assume that patrol will get like stab-resistant.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to get like. I wonder if it already has a barrier.
That's what I mean. I would think that's one of the reasons why a patrol glove carries that, it's designed like
frisking.
That. Yep. When you're sticking your fingers in someone's pockets, you want to have that protection of stopping.
And I tell you what, the price is right.
What are we looking at? I mean, I know this may not be just one, but what are we looking at on pricing?
Well, MSRP on the patrol is going to be $45.
That's actually really cheap.
That's.
Does it offer that barrier? Do you happen to have that on that listing, or
that is not listed? I tell you what, though, these technical gloves, I may get. One thing about these gloves that's exciting is that I think they all are like touchscreen compatible. have the fingers that work with the things.
Yeah, I was seeing that a bunch of their stuff you could use your phone or you could mess with it. So what would be? So I would assume a breaching glove is probably going to have hard knuckles on it. Assumption.
This is a patrol glove, and it is, let's see, one-piece palm construction, lightweight cut, adjustable stuff fit, gun gusset. It has a gun gusset.
What is a gun gusset? Do we know?
Thumb and forefinger gun gusset designed for better durability and comfort when shooting pistol-gripped firearms.
So it just means it's got an extra, probably like a little extra thick layer of leather right there.
Expansion joints on the back of fingers allow better flexibility. 3-finger touchscreen compatibility. I assume that means on like both gloves. Because it'd be weird if they like 2 on one and 1 on the other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Adjustable wrist, impact protection with padded neoprene backing. You were right. You called it.
There you go.
They're padded. So, yeah, and that's just the anyways, you guys should go to Magpul. Check these out. That's just the Magpul core patrol gloves. And like I said, they have ranch gloves.
And especially, you know what, if you are wearing your ranch gloves or any of these other ones, they're also making a Magpul belt. So you can tuck them in your belt while holding your pants up while you're working like a hard-working American.
I tell you what, that belt...
And this is not an ad. We're just this good. So Magpul.
I really like this belt. This belt, it's made out of good-looking, like, steer hide. It's stitched with, like, heavy-duty stitching. It's got a plastic insert glued into it, so it's nice and stiff and it'll last forever.
Like a Kydex insert?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a Magpul plastic, so it's the best, I assume, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that out. Tell us what you think.
I wonder if that plastic inside of it is sand color.
Oh, I bet you it is, because that's the strongest color.
Why not?
It's got to be. It's got to be. What other color would it be? One of the things that's been in the news because of the presidential run-ups, all the primaries are coming up, and all the people are, what's the word I want?
I don't know. Fighting?
Terrible. Fighting for position. Yes, that's the word I wanted.
I'm going to say like jocksting.
The candidate jockeying for position, for their party's nomination for a presidential candidate, right?
Right.
And one of the things that the Democrats, but I repeat myself, bring up is guns. And they keep bringing it up, and they keep bringing up things like gun crime and this, that, and the other. And there was an article that I don't want to give any credence to, but it got me thinking. It was one of these articles that shows where crime guns come from, because the ATF will give you a report, and I'll throw a link up on
Let's give
Facebook.
a little bit of credence to them, just so that if anybody wants to, they have a general idea where they should be looking.
Oh, there's plenty of these. If you
so this isn't just one specific one. Okay,
this isn't one specific article, but this one specific article messed up. And what this was, normally these articles say all the guns come from all these other states where it's easier to get guns, and they all flow to Chicago, and they all flow to L.A., and they all flow to New York. You've seen these articles,
right?
That's
the general consensus of most of them.
Well, this one mentioned a particular NYPD officer who was tragically killed in the line of duty, or the two cops. I think we talked about them on this podcast. They were shot in their squad car. They were just sitting in their squad car, and they got gunned down.
Oh, like a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah. So they said the gun used to mow down these cops was purchased in Alabama. And I thought to myself, now here's something I can actually check. I can actually verify. This is a fact. This isn't just numbers and statistics and things that, you can, I can write a great article on statistics. You just go to the gunshowpodcast.com and check it out. But this was a verifiable. So I went and looked it up, and it turns out it was true. This gun did come from, I want to say it was Georgia. It might have been Alabama, but that's not the point. The point is it was bought there in like 1996, which means the gun over the course of, 20 years worked its way up to New York and was used in a murder. So it's not like the gun was bought in Alabama, put on the back of a truck, and trucked up to New York. It just, over its lifetime, worked its way to New York because it was probably stolen.
You said like 86?
96. So,
96.
Yeah, about 20 years, give or take.
Yeah.
So, give or take. I'm rounding. I'm rounding.
I thought you said 86, and I was about to say, no, that's about 30. So,
It turns out the ATF tracks these sort of things. It's called time to crime.
Okay.
And it's one thing that I'd like all our listeners to be aware of when people start talking about guns come from these free states to these terrible places where they used to murder people, and they want to blame the free states. Just a good factual, instead of the philosophical argument that, yeah, because we're free and you people are terrible and that's why you have all these crimes.
Right.
But one of the things the ATF tracks is time to crime, which is from the time a gun is bought legally to when it turns up in a criminal enterprise. And it turns out the national time to crime is about 11 years.
Okay.
So 11 years after a gun is bought, it turns up in a crime. Well, what does this tell you? What does it tell you? It tells us, like, the scenario isn't, Joe Bob gun dealer isn't driving to Texas and loading up his SUV full of Kalashnikovs from, the Texas gun shop and driving them up to Illinois and pulling over in the closest Chicago suburb and offloading them and selling them to the gangbangers to kill each other. That's not happening. It's just not happening. And if it is happening, it's an infinitesimal number, because the time to crime guns, it's not a short amount of time. It's over 11 years. What happens is these guns are bought by normal people. They're, by like you and me. They're bought for whatever reason. They're legally bought for legal reasons and kept in legal places, and then they're stolen. Let's face it. One of the biggest places a crime gun comes from is theft. People break into people's homes and steal guns all the time.
Right.
And that's because, like jewelry and money and electronics, stealing guns is very lucrative. You can trade them for drugs. You can trade them for cash. They're very liquid commodity. So guns are stolen, and then they're traded on the streets, and then they end up in a crime, and the cops pick them up and they trace them. And that's where we see this number 11 years later.
Right.
Now, it turns out some states randomly have a lower time to crime. Arizona is like 8 point something years. California is like 13 point something.
Right.
Illinois is almost 14 and change.
It's like statistics, like we said last.
Yeah,
last
it's just
show.
statistics.
It's all different whatever region, whatever state, whatever you go to.
Yes, exactly. And like you said, you can make statistics, but I just want everyone to understand that when they tell you guns come from Virginia to D.C., or they come from Tennessee and up into New York, and they come from these other places. Well, yeah, they do, but it takes them 11 years to get there. So I just wanted, I want everyone to have a little bit of facts, and then they can debate the merits of, a terrible place like Chicago with a relatively, strict gun control laws having a giant high murder rate, whereas someplace like, Dallas, Texas, has a comparatively low murder rate and fairly lax gun control laws.
Right.
Speaking of lax gun control laws, I'd like to talk about Thanksgiving some more. And we already talked about, we thank you guys for listening.
Right.
And I wanted to talk about the things I'm thankful for in the firearms world right now. One of the things I'm thankful for is 22 is becoming more prevalent. I keep seeing it pop up on the shelves, and I was in one of the giant outfitter box stores lately. We'll call this one Cabela's. And they had like 8 or 9 different flavors on the shelf at normal Cabela's, a little bit too much pricing.
Right.
And I thought that was great. And this was on a Saturday. There was lots of people.
Hey, maybe that's not just that price anymore. Maybe that's what it's going to.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see. That. Well, I tell you what,
we noticed that Walmart raised the price on some of their stuff, and why would they bring it back down?
Well, there's no reason for them. Walmart's going to charge whatever their markup is. They're not going to change it due to a fluctuating.
So you think that's their cost?
Yeah.
They've increased it. They have a set.
I think. Ammo
3.89% above percentage above
whatever
cost.
Whatever their markup is.
So when they buy it, they get it in, and they say, "All right, well, we just got the next 2 years allotment, and it's 13 cents more, and we're just going to raise the price." or $1 more or whatever.
Whatever it cost them, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
that's
once
exactly
they plug it
what
into
happens.
that system, Joe Bob over there is like, that's it, that's the price.
And
until we run out of that. And you could be wrong.
I could be dead wrong here, but I'm almost 100% certain that's what happened. Well, what has happened since Sandy Hook and the initial panic and the craziness and the 22 shortage that has followed the last few years has been that ammo prices have slowly creeped up. Brass has gotten a little more expensive. Mm-hmm. Copper has gotten a little bit more expensive. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see copper and brass kind of go away. I know there's one of the steel case companies, one of the Russian companies, Tula Ammo,
and Tula
specifically switched from a copper wash on their steel jacketed bullets to a zinc coating. So, because copper, I assume it's cheaper. Why else would you do such a thing? But from a copper wash to a zinc coating, that's less copper. Another thing I've noticed is the copper ammo is starting to come cheaper from countries we haven't seen ammunition before. Here in America, I'm seeing Slovak ammo under the Hot Shot brand. I'm seeing Pubjeta, which is from I'll get this right. Hold on. Not Bosnia-Herzegovina?
Sounds right. Yeah, I think it's Bosnia.
Man, I can't remember. It's something like that. It's it's a country we haven't gotten ammo from before.
Regardless.
Also, companies like Winchester. We've seen Hornady in the past come out with steel case.
I was going to say, yeah, I had that on the tip of my tongue.
Winchester just came out with steel cased ammo.
Did they?
I think it's called something Forge. Check it out on the shelves in the cool box.
If it was me, it'd be like American forged ammo.
So that may be what it is. That's good.
Dang.
You should be in marketing or something.
All right.
You ever thought about that?
I will now.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thankful for. 22 looks like it's going to be back. It's making a comeback. I'm thankful for it. I love shooting 22. I love shooting 22 through my AR-15s and my 10-22s and my 22-45s and all my 22 adapters for my AR-15s and through suppressors. And I just love shooting 22.
Yeah, the most important thing to remember about what you're thankful for is if it's places like Aim Surplus or just anything with a firearms manufacturer or designer, anything you buy this, your wife, your girlfriend, your bank account are not thankful for those places.
We're supposed to be thankful for stuff, not thankful
I'm
for stuff.
telling you.
You're terrible at this. This was so easy. All you had to do was be thankful for something.
I'm thankful for ammo.
I'm thankful for I am thankful for the Raven Vanguard 2 holster, which we already talked about. I'm really thankful for that. What else?
And you are right about being thankful about that 22 finally coming back into the market. It's becoming a little bit more readily available.
Heck yeah. And people like you who love 22.
I do. I love 22.
Can afford to shoot it more.
I love it.
You can afford to fill up those magazines.
I actually, the other day, I was getting ammo to go to the range. I say the other day, it was, a little while back. But I actually ended up just buying 5.56 because the price was comparable. And I was just like, you know what? It's 2 cents more to fire 5.56. I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
That's the other thing I'm thankful for.
The price on that?
Yeah. The price on 9mm and 223 is so ridiculous cheap. Right now.
It's where it's supposed to be.
Right now, if you shop around, you can get 9mm for 19 cents a round. And I'm talking brass case.
Yeah.
I'm talking brands we've heard of, maybe not from Slovakia or Bosnia and Herzegovina, but brands we've heard of. I've seen 223 for like 21 cents a round. Or
yeah.
Did I see that cheap? Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, the steel case stuff for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, maybe even cheaper than that off the top of my head.
We've seen 7.62 by 39 go down.
Oh, it's dirt cheap. It's just everything's so cheap. I'm so happy about ammo prices. I'm so happy about AR-15 prices.
The rifle or components or what?
Yes. Rifles now, I think the going rate on the cheap rifles is like less than $500. Wow. And I'm talking Smith & Wesson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking Delton Sports. I'm talking Smith & Wesson Sports. I'm talking, Bushmaster Carbon 15s, DPMS Oracles. Definitely less than $500 all day long. All you got to do is sign up for emails at these places. Places like Grab a Gun Defender Outdoors, Aim Surplus, Palmetto State, who we always like to mention.
CMMG.
Everybody. Just go sign up for everybody's emails if you need gun stuff. It's so cheap right now. Wait for the sales. Grab a hold of it. And then if it's a really good deal, before you post it to our Facebook page,
go
ahead and message us. Buy it, and then message us so we know before you guys do.